What is up, everybody? It's time for another episode of Jules and Monty, but also another round of the League of Lit crew, just telling you what we think about it. As we've stated before, this web series is turning 10 this year, and we are reviewing it episode by episode because it's our favorite, or at least one of our favorites. It's definitely up there. It is something that both Sierra and I watch at least once a year, at least once. And today we are hopping into episode 3. So we've already done the introduction, so you can watch those if you so wish. But let's hop in to episode 3. One of the things that I appreciate, it kind of doubles as an introduction, like a title sequence, if you will, because they have all of these photos that they took for like publicity purposes, and then they have the title Jules and Monty, you know, animating across the front. Episode three's title card is just a photo of Monty and Mark, and you know, it kind of lets you know that it's going to be an episode from Monty's perspective. Like the further we get in, the more blurred the lines become as far as whose perspective this is supposed to be from. It kind of gives you an idea because especially with Mark being in the photo, we do get an infamous speech in this episode.
Now, episode 3 is honestly one of my favorites because we get the very famous Queen Mab speech in this episode, and I love the way that it's done. So in this episode, we are on our way to the infamous Kappa party. The Mu Tau Gamma boys are ready to cause some havoc, wreak some havoc, whatever. And it's going to be really great. We also get to meet our Benvolio, or Ben. If there's one thing that I don't think the world needed together, it was Ben and Mark. Which, I mean, is just true in general in Romeo and Juliet with Benvolio and Mercutio. They really just rile each other up, and I think their favorite pastime is making fun of Romeo, or Monty in this case. One of my favorite pieces of this episode, minus the Queen Mab speech, is right before we get Queen Mab, there's this really great moment where Mark tosses the camera to Ben. And if you watch the behind the scenes, the vlog, you learn exactly how they did this, because there's a real person behind this camera. It's not just them holding the camera. They're not actively vlogging themselves. There is somebody actively filming. And so you get to see how they do it, and it's such a cool and interesting little behind the scenes tidbit. And every time I watch it, I just think about how nifty that is. That this is a real project that's being filmed, you know. It's not just something that like I'm doing with my camera right here. So it's very cool.
This is where we have the Queen Mab speech, and it's beautiful. Like literally all of the observations, like if you watch the background, like you'll see different people like kind of stopping and staring at different points, because it's like, wait, what are they doing? Why are you talking like that? Like all that kind of stuff. And it's literally because who would be speaking Shakespeare just in the middle of campus? You know, whatever. It's fantastic. I love it.
The Queen Mab speech, which is honestly probably one of my favorite speeches in Shakespeare in general, despite Romeo and Juliet not being my favorite Shakespeare, is so funny. And when played correctly, which I don't know if I and myself have yet to see a Mercutio not play the Queen Mab speech well, but when played correctly, it's just a fun time whether you really understand the language or not. I think my favorite part of Mark's Queen Mab speech is that he's just flirting with this bird statue the whole time. And it just is more indicative of like where he's supposed to be. He's supposed to be very drunk and giving this whole speech to Romeo about, you know, you need to find yourself a new woman and we're going to get you someone and it's going to be great.
And all of that is before we get to the actual party. it jump cuts to after the party. So Monty doesn't show us anything from the party as we kind of watch Monty's descent, if you will, into a sense of madness because he's literally he somehow managed to not have his keys. Somehow Mark ended up with them. So he's locked out of their room because Mark went with somebody else.
Which is also a really great moment. I really enjoy the way that Ed plays this and all of the kind of nonsense that he gets. He sings a song, he does hand puppets because he's so bored.
And I forgot about the teen girl squad voice that Ed uses because Ed is playing Monty. I forgot about that, and it makes me laugh every time. I mean, like this whole section, it's fun. It fits in with the vlog, like feel like it.
And then you get the realization that something happened at this party, and it included a girl. And it may have been an accident, but it wasn't. It wasn't an accident. He was very much in control of all of his faculties when he did whatever he did. And then he realizes he has to go talk to Rose.
The fact that the character of Rosalind exists in the sense of Rose Campbell and that Rose and Monty are dating in this universe, it definitely creates a level of complication that makes it feel more accessible than when you literally never ever see Rosalind come on stage. You literally, like, the gist that we get in the original source material is she is this figment of Romeo's imagination. Like, maybe, hopefully, I would love to, like, kind of deal. But in this case, no, Rose and Monty are a real item, for lack of a better term. They're a real couple. And the fact it brings in that level of morality that has you questioning as like, well, first of all, we don't even know what Monty did or did not do because his vlog doesn't show us. And so as where we are right now, there's a lot more questions than answers other than the only thing we know for certain is that he's going to go and talk to Rose.
This episode is a really great example of giving us context while also giving us a cliffhanger. Without kind of, giving the cliffhanger where you're like, well, what's gonna happen? And clearly we all know what happened. But it's nice to kind of feel the suspense of like, oh my goodness, how is this gonna go? Like, what are we gonna learn? And what's gonna happen in the next episode? So it'll be exciting to talk about that and to move forward.
That's all that we have today for episode 3 in our re-review of Jules and Monty. We hope that you're enjoying this as much as we are because, like Sierra mentioned in the very first one, there's not really much of a reason that we need to re-watch this, but we will take this as a total reason to re-watch it. So we hope that you have enjoyed this with us, and we'll see you next video. Thanks for tuning in to this very special edition of League of Lit.
Make sure that you follow us at League of Lit Podcast on Instagram and League of Lit Pod on TikTok.
If you have any suggestions for an episode, feel free to leave a comment at leagueoflit.tumblr.com.